All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden factor in heart health, something that might just change everything you thought you knew about your risk. So, let's dive right in.
You know, we're all so focused on cholesterol. We talk about it all the time, right? The good, the bad, making sure those numbers are where they should be. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? What if there's a major player in heart disease, a hidden variable that most of us have never, ever heard of?
Yeah, there's this factor that a lot of doctors are now calling the invisible killer when it comes to heart disease. And the reason they call it that, well, it's because it completely flies under the radar of the usual tests.
I bet you know your LDL and HDL numbers by heart. A lot of us do. But here's the thing. Major cardiology associations all over the world are now pointing to this one specific particle as a huge independent risk factor for heart attacks and strokes. It's about time we all got familiar with it.
So let's pull back the curtain. It's time to meet this mystery particle. It's called lipoprotein A, and you'll often see it written as Lp(a).
Okay, so before we get into the new stuff, let's start with something we all know, LDL cholesterol, right? The quote-unquote bad cholesterol. It's basically the delivery truck for cholesterol in your blood. And when you have too many of these trucks on the road, they can start to cause traffic jams, building up as plaque in your arteries. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, now here's where it gets really important. A lipoprotein A particle, well, it starts out as a normal LDL particle. But it's got this dangerous extra part bolted onto it, a super sticky protein. And believe me, that one little addition changes everything. So the easiest way to picture this is to think of LDL as the bad cholesterol and lipoprotein A as its more dangerous, stickier twin. Seriously, that stickiness is the absolute key to understanding why this thing is such a problem. All right, so what exactly makes this sticky twin so much worse? Well, it turns out it's a triple threat. It attacks your arteries from 3 different angles at once. Okay, first off, because it's so incredibly sticky, it's way better at grabbing onto your artery walls. That just speeds up plaque buildup. Second, its unique shape actually messes with your body's natural ability to break down blood clots, so dangerous clots are more likely to form. And third, it actively fuels inflammation inside your blood vessels. So you've got more plaque, more clots, and more inflammation. That is the triple threat that makes this particle so dangerous all by itself.
So what's the magic number? How much is too much? Well, really, any elevation is a concern. But the official guidelines now say that a level over 75 nanomoles per liter, that puts you in a very high-risk zone. And get this, some studies show that if your levels are over 100, your risk could be double that of someone with normal levels. That's a huge deal.
This probably brings up a big question for you. Where do these high levels even come from? Is it about your lifestyle, or is it something you were just born with?
Okay, if you remember one thing from this, let it be this. For about 85% of people, high lipoprotein A is almost entirely genetic. It's passed down through families. This explains so much. It's why we sometimes see people who are super fit, they eat perfectly, and yet they have a heart attack young. High Lp(a) is so often the hidden culprit in those stories. Now, while your genes are definitely the main driver, there are other things that can push those levels even higher. Conditions like hypothyroidism, going through menopause, or having chronic kidney disease, they can all bump it up. Diet plays a part too. High starch diets can raise it, and this one might surprise you, so can diets that are very low in saturated fat. But the real jaw-dropper for most people, statins, the most common cholesterol drugs in the world, can actually cause a small but very real increase in Lp(a).
Okay, so you're probably thinking, great, it's genetic, and the main drug for cholesterol makes it worse. What am I supposed to do? Well, this is where things start to get really interesting, because there are things you can do. First, let's get one thing straight, right out of the gate. Exercise. You should absolutely 100% be exercising for your heart. But, and this is a big but, you have to understand that exercise, for all its amazing benefits, does not seem to directly lower lipoprotein A. This is not a problem you can just run away from.
So what about what you eat? Diet can definitely have an impact. Going on a low-carb diet seems to help, lowering Lp(a) by around 15%. But go the other way with a high-starch diet, and you could see it go up by 15 to 25%. And remember that weird finding we talked about? A diet that's super low in saturated fat can also raise it? Even the oils you use matter. Canola oil seems to push it up, but something like flaxseed oil can help lower it.
But when you look at all the data for the most effective strategies, one thing really stands out from the pack. And it's not some brand new, expensive prescription drug. Nope, it's a simple vitamin that's been on the shelves for decades. Just look at this comparison.
It is absolutely stunning. Over here you've got statins, which we now know can actually increase LPA a little bit. But then you look over here at niacin, which is just vitamin B3. The studies are clear. At the right doses, niacin can slash LPA levels by a whopping 25 to 40%. Right now, that is the single most effective nutritional tool we have for this.
Now, for people with really, really high levels or who are at extreme risk, there are some more advanced medical options. There's a class of injectable drugs called PCSK9 inhibitors that work quite well. There's even a procedure called lipoprotein apheresis. You can think of it like dialysis, but for cholesterol, where they literally filter the LPA right out of your blood. And the really good news? There are several new drugs in the pipeline designed to specifically target LPA, and they're getting close to being available. So let's wrap this up with a simple question. You've probably spent years tracking your LDL, your bad cholesterol. But now you know there's another piece of the puzzle, a piece that might be even more important. So, isn't it time to ask your doctor about your LPA? It's just a simple blood test, and it's all it takes to finally unmask this hidden risk.